Alright, so on to our fifth match here, with our current record being 2-2. We kept look, it wasn't a strong hand, but it did have a turn 1 Doomsday. So if you can dodge if you can dodge Force of Will, you're probably going to win. We're just going to make a very similar pile to one we made in the previous match, where we're just going to have like a basic island, a couple of we're going to put a couple of extra cyclers in because we already have the fetch land, and we're going to have a Cavern of Souls as well. So this is going to lose to Blood Moon, but should be fine against anything else. What we really want to do is just draw both cyclers, fetch for turn, and then we'll be able to, once we have both cyclers in hand, we can fetch, leaving just Cavern and Oracle in hand. And from there, we just need to play our last card. So Snow-Covered Mountain is a little bit unnerving. Kind of indicates Bolt. Burn, I should say, sorry, not Bolt. However, they haven't actually cast anything yet, so I would assume a Burn player would have already started getting on the board, or at least started directing some damage towards us. So opponent's having a good think here. Okay, City of Traders. Okay, and this is the turn where we're going to win. So City of Traders Mountain, like, I can't help but feel that means Sneak and Show, to be honest. But the other thing it could be is like Eldrazi or Red Stompy. So we'll just Cyclo Edge, draw our Cavern. And we're winning 2 turns after we comboed, but, you know, that should be good enough. And opponent's just scooped. So, Sneak and Show. Like, I know the Mountain isn't a good Sneak and Show indicator, but I just can't think of many other decks that would play a basic Mountain and a City of Traders and not just be Blood Mooning the fuck out of us. Or at least cast a Chalice or something. So, I think in these situations where I'm kind of fairly blind to what's happening, I like boarding in just like 2 Abrades. So I've obviously hedged here against Sneak. But I don't think actually, look, while I've hedged against Sneak, I don't think it's actually the correct board plan. I think it is just 2 Abrades in the blind just for hate pieces, and there we go. It's just like a standard, like fairly standard combo plan where you just board in 2 pieces of removal. Just for anything that might get you, like a Meddling Mage, or which we wouldn't expect to see, but maybe a 3-ball. I don't know. This hand seems very weak and needs to be mulliganed. This hand as well. And this hand's playable. Yeah, bottoming the Duresses seems correct. We can't cast them just yet. So, I know LED is kind of a blank, but yeah, okay, so there's a Thorn of Amethyst, so it's some kind of red-based Stompy deck typically. So yeah, like the Lion's Eye Diamond gives us velocity that we might need against a fast combo deck, and lets us do something like Preordain, Hold Priority, crack LED, have 3 mana up, and then do whatever. Mazemind Tome. So I remember this game because Mazemind Tome is a card I have never seen before. It's interesting. Like, I guess it's card advantage, but it's very expensive and it's very slow. So I decided to play the LED out here. Like, we've still got a ways to go before we can actually combo. We need to start drawing lands fairly quickly. Or even Lotus Petals might be okay here. And this is where we find out what opponent's on. So he's tapping Blood Moon mana, but he can't actually Blood Moon us because Blood Moon's 4. But we see the Goblin Engineer, and that just tells us he's on Painter. For anyone that's not familiar with the format, if you see a Goblin Engineer or a Goblin Welder, they're almost certainly on a Painter's Servant based combo deck. Dark Ritual is actually not a bad pickup because it means that if we do get a black source, then we can cast our Doomsday. Now, with the Grindstone in the bin, it's a bit questionable as to whether or not the Doomsday is actually going to get us there, because they can just grind away a part of our pile. But we kind of, we're a little bit priced into it. I don't think we can wait until we find a way to remove the Grindstone, and with the Engineer on the board, it's not a terribly effective plan anyway. I think instead we want to try to make a pile where we'll let them make an error in where they grind. Okay, Delta's great. We're going to cast our Doomsday now. So the way we can cast our Doomsday is we cast Dark Ritual into Dark Ritual into Doomsday. So each of these Dark Rituals are +1 mana. So Island Swamp is 2, Ritual is 3, Ritual is 4, Doomsday uses up the remainder of our mana. And we will just take a bunch of Cyclers. I'm still almost inclined to take a Cavern of Souls, but and we have to check how many cards the Grindstone mills. So I think we're into keeping the Oracle on the bottom as the very last card, and we're drawing Cyclers this turn, right? So what this lets us do, so this is actually I think this is like the best pile we could do with the information that we have, because if we draw a Cycler for turn, we can cycle into Cycler. Did I stack my pile wrong? I can't remember. I didn't check to see whether or not we put the fetch land on top of the Jewel. Like, the reason we want, we obviously want the fetch land higher. Maybe we don't. This is a tough one. Anyway, so basically the reason we've made this pile is it's going to let us cycle through a portion of our library Then if he activates the grindstone, if he winds up in a position where he can activate the grindstone, we can cycle so that he'll just mill 2 cards. They won't share a colour, so we won't get to repeat it. And then we can preordain, hold priority, crack LED for blue, and get our Oracle. So opponent's holding priority with his Maze Mind Tome so that he can get the get it in the bin, get his scry, get all his value out of it, but also keep it available. And Grindstone still doesn't look like he can activate the Grindstone, but we do need to be cognizant of the Mana Monkey. Just because, look, it's not, I wouldn't strictly expect to see it, but it is a card that I do want to be wary of. So opponent's deciding whether or not to cast something. And so instead, we're going to draw our edge. An opponent does have the Mana Monkey in the end and is going to grind us. He's grinding us here in the hope that he can take away our Oracle. Does not work. So instead, all we're going to do, we could have actually got down to 0 cards here. If we'd edged, but no particular need. He's tapped out. There's nothing he can actually do. He's locked out under his own Thorn. And we take the Oracle. And even if opponent has Red Blast Mana Monkey, and it looks like he can't actually do anything thanks to the Thorn. So we've got him. And that's match 5.